Yeah, I'm a little nervous. But if you guys can are welcome to sit on the ground, sit on the benches, you can stand. I will have you closing your eyes. This won't be your regular hodgepodge meditation. This is going to be me just guiding you through a story. And I hope you guys like it. All right. Everybody set? Okay. So I want you guys to just close your eyes, sit, just relax. Don't worry about the traffic that you guys were just in. Don't worry about what you have to do after this. Just focus on your breathing. Focus on your heart. And take a deep breath in, filling your stomach, filling your lungs. And just release it. And as you breathe in and out, I want you to imagine a screen coming out about arm's length from your heart. And this is where you will envision the story that I'm about to tell you. This is a story about a man and a woman. Two people who came together and started a family during a war. Two young people who, because of an actor in a big white house, miles and miles away from them, had to flee their home for a better start. A group of men gather around a pool table. Someone sinks the 8-ball and a cheer erupts. The man's tongue releases from a clenched jaw. I was 14 when my father died, when the war began to unfold. Around this time, I had a girlfriend. She lived with her older brothers 2 towns over. I would walk to her house every day and sit with her when her brothers were at work. One afternoon, her brothers took longer than usual. When they arrived, they told us they had been held up by the military. They pulled them out of the bus, robbed them, set the bus on fire, and made everyone walk home. Concerned with how late it had gotten, she asked me to stay that night, and we sat drinking coffee and talking. At about 2 a.m, we were awoken by yelling outside. We hid. We began to hear women crying, children, men. Then the gunshots began. We hid holding each other tightly, praying, Padre nuestro que estás en los cielos, santificado sea tu nombre. Venga tu reino. Hágase tu voluntad, así en la tierra como en el cielo. Men laughing in between shots. Y perdónanos nuestras deudas, así como nosotros perdonamos a nuestros deudores. Y no nos dejes caer en la tentación, mas líbranos del mal. Car doors shutting, sounding like thunder, and then an immense silence. He tells stories like this, somber, raw. He tells the stories of friends he never saw again, of the smell of rotting flesh. The woman was stoic. She was cold, but she wasn't always that way. She tells stories of her long dark hair while she makes tamales on a kitchen table. She says, my mother had 18 children. Sometimes we'd be in our house, and my father would come home drunk. We could hear his machete dragging against the ground, and my mother would scream, run, children! and out we ran in all directions, seeking safety, while my mother held on to the smallest ones and tried to escape his rage. No. She laughs as she explains that they resembled little bugs scurrying through the fields. My hair used to be so long, dark, down past the back of my knees. But when I went to work in the fields, with my father, they cut my hair very short, dressed me in men's clothing. They said to protect me from the military, the guerrilleros we would walk past every morning. One day they stopped us, told all the men to take their clothes off, and began checking them for money hidden in wheat. I looked at my father with fear in my eyes. His reflected shame. One of the men in uniform stuck close to me. He began to search me, groping me, grabbing me, pulling at my undershirt. He put his hand between my legs and then yelled for everyone to stop disrobing. My heart stopped, and then he told us to grab our belongings and get going. My father and I ran home. I was never to return to the fields. She stops. She gathers a square piece of foil paper. In it, she places a banana leaf. She adds the masa, the cooked pork, garbanzos, uncooked potatoes, and in a graceful move of her wrist, she rolls and twists another tamal. Her body is strong, held up proudly. Then her voice cracks. My first daughter was only 9 months old when I had to cross. My husband was in Los Angeles and had paid to bring me over, but the trip was too difficult to bring a baby along. So I left her with my mother, under a mango tree, the one we used to sit under during her feedings. I kissed her and turned around and began to walk holding my heart, quickening my steps so I wouldn't turn around. I ran to the bus stop where my father found me crying. He put his arm around me and said, "Remember why you're doing it, why you have motivation to return. It is not safe for you here. They will kill you." We rode the bus to the airport. I remember walking up to the doors, a man in uniform stopping my father. "He can't go any further." My father wore no shoes. He was a man of the earth. He carried a little water jug in his machete on a sling. "Bueno, hija, hasta aquí puedo llegar." He gave me my blessing. "Que Dios te cuide." I grabbed my makeshift bag and walked. The image of him, standing barefoot covered in dust, that memory will be buried with me. She begins the process of another tamal, sad eyes stirring the masa. I spent 9 years sewing, washing clothes, taking care of children to gather enough money to bring her over. 9 years of living with a knot in my throat, of guilt anytime I went out to eat or laugh. She was 9 when we brought her to me. She didn't know me. She wasn't a girl. The war, the aftermath had changed her. These are the stories that are told on Christmas Eve, so their children can understand how easy it is here in America. Refugees who leave their blood and sweat in murderous deserts for a chance at survival. These are my parents, mis viejitos queridos.